What is going on with the YouTube fishing world? Thank you for clicking on or tapping on. I don't think people click on the videos anymore. Tapping on this video. So I'm filming this at night in my garage. I'm gonna release this weekend. So happy Mother's Day to any mothers that are watching, and make sure you tell somebody that this weekend as well. But this video, we are going to talk about BFS fishing and my first setup, and hopefully I can help you guys out with this a little bit and help you see where I've come to and how I've got the combo that I've got sitting next to me, and learn some of the ins and outs. So stay tuned. Okay, so first of all, let's go through a few terms and what BFS is. So this is kind of your glossary part of the video. BFS is Bait Finesse System. And there's a few different other acronyms that go into this, and I'll go ahead and hit those now and then talk about how those come into play. Another one you will hear if you're researching this type of fishing is JDM. And if you're into cars, you probably also know that means Japanese domestic market, and CDM, which is Chinese domestic market. So next part of this is why. Why do we, or why is BFS becoming very popular in the United States? And one of the reasons for that is, and this is my opinion piece of this, is there's a lot of pressure on fish right now. So if you notice, there's a lot of bait companies releasing smaller versions of lures, and it's my finding that when the pressure is high, a smaller lure, something like that, like a small Kayaks, will maybe get the bite that the bigger lure will not. So this is a technique that originated, almost knocked my rod down, originated in Japan. But like I said, it's becoming more popular in the United States. And like a lot of fishing trends that started out on the West Coast and has slowly increased in popularity. One of the reasons I speak with authority about its popularity is I was going to try to buy a Shimano Curado BFS reel in place of this Kast King that I'm going to show you. I couldn't find one anywhere. I went to the local bait store to Knox Rod and Reel and thought I would walk in there and pick one up. They didn't laugh at me, but they said they're trying to get one too. They would love to have one themselves. So you may have some trouble finding a Shimano BFS anything. There's a few different reels out there, and based on my budget and the availability, I went with this Kast King reel that I will show you. I do have it on a Dobyns Sierra series rod, and I'm going to do some close-up pictures and videos of this so I can show you guys what exactly we're going for here. But the thing with the Dobyns is, and I'm not trying to badmouth Dobyns at all, but my dad purchased this Dobyns rod for me. So thanks, Dad. It was a Christmas present, and I went and purchased the reel for it. But when I was rigging up his Dobyns rod on a Shimano Curado, not a BFS, but a Shimano Curado, we were going to try that approach. All I did was pull the line like this to like hook a lure on there, and the tip broke. It never seen the first cast. So pretty sure there's a factory defect. So he contacted Dobyns, and yes, they're going to do a warranty replacement, but he had to ship the rod to them. Shipping a rod tube was about $50 or $60. It's been about 2 months now, and they say they're getting the rod in, or they don't have it in yet. I thought Dobyns rods were made in Texas, where their offices are, but based on some internet research I'm finding, and I don't see anywhere on this rod that it says China or the United States. But based on the COVID lockdowns in China right now, and some of the information I found online, and of course you know if it's online, it's true, I think Dobyns rods are made in China. So I can't say too much good or bad about Dobyns because I really like this rod, but I'm a little disappointed in their customer service that they're giving to my dad's situation, considering the rod never took a single cast. So let's look at this combo a little more closely now. This is the Kast King Zephyr. I hope this is focusing for you all. It doesn't look like it is on my screen here. This is rigged up with a Kayaks 2.8 with, I think, a 16-ounce jig head, and it's going to be upside down. But this is the Dobyns rod. This is a Sierra series, and I've become a big proponent of, and let me flip this rod around. Hang on a second. You can see this rod is rated, it's one piece, line of 2 to 8 pounds. Lure 1/16 to 5/16, or 1.5 grams to 8 grams. It is light, fast action ultra finesse casting. The idea here is that you want this rod to load up with a light lure, and you see it is very, very limber. It does have a lot of parabolic bend to it. I will put some clips in here of some of the fish catches I've had on this combo. But the idea with the rod is you want it to load up and throw a light lure. So why this particular reel? So this is, like I said, a Kast King Zephyr. It goes for around $70. And I know that it's not particularly expensive for a reel. The Shimano, I think, is around $200 or $300. Beautiful reel, but this one was available. Doesn't mean they're bad reels. I've been very impressed with this one. But why is this particularly a BFS reel, and what makes a BFS reel? So I'm going to show you, if you can see this here, you can almost see the spoil through the line. Why is it important to see the spoil through the line? The thing is, this is a very shallow spoil. It only holds a very small amount of line, and I'm going to put a caption down here as to how much. I'm throwing 8-pound fluorocarbon on this. A lot of people throw a really light braid to a fluorocarbon leader. I didn't want to have to try to run, and I don't know if you can see it or not, these have really small guides. I didn't want a knot trying to go through those guides. So the reason for the really shallow spoil is, and I will show, like I said, I'll show a few videos of some fish catches, but the shallow spoil allows it to be very light. We want a little line really on here so we can handle comfortably with casting and catching a fish. And the reason for that, now I've been thinking about a way to explain this, is the spool has a lot of slots in it as well to try to keep it really light. Is if you're weed eating, and you probably notice behind me, like I do a lot of my own yard work and yard work for a few other people. When your weed eater or your trimmer is running low on line, it runs a higher RPM because there's less resistance to that head spinning. Same thing with tires on a car. You know, the heavier the tire, the more rolling resistance. Bicycles, the bigger the tire, the more rolling resistance, the more it takes to stop. So what you're trying to do is get that spoil to be as free spinning as possible, and then you have a brake system to try to help prevent your backlash. So why all this? Like, why is this such a big thing? The reason for it is you can throw really small lures on a bait caster. And if you're watching this as someone who is just learning to throw bait casters, I probably wouldn't recommend trying this just yet. You need to get a better feel for bait casters overall. But the goal here is that, and one of the reasons I love it, is I can throw things that will twist the heck out of my line on my spinning reel now on a bait caster. So, and yes, I did hit myself in the head with it just now. I have thrown a fluke. I have thrown tiny crankbaits. My favorite go-to right now is this tiny 2-inch Kayaks that I can throw on here. I know swim baits don't twist your line too bad, but flukes do. I did throw a Senko on here. I've thrown a Ned rig on here now. When I first got this reel, I wanted to just take it down to the water and make a video and be like, this is great. But I also thought about later, want to try it out a little bit. And I have caught quite a few fish on it. If you watch my video where I go way up a creek in the kayak, go check that one out. You can see a lot of fish catches, and I'll probably drop some of those in this video here. But the rod performed amazingly well. It does bend well, but I was able to throw this tiny swim bait a long ways and never have to worry about line twist. So that's one of the things that I really like about it, and it's probably one of the main reasons to use this. And I think maybe as soon as this weekend, I'm going to go trout fishing with it. I'm going to tie a 4-pound fluoro leader to this 8-pound and just take like a rooster tail or something and see what'll happen. I haven't tried that yet, but in Japan and some other places, I've been watching some YouTube content on this. They are taking these rods and these reels trout fishing. So I want to give that a shot too, because that's one of my biggest frustrations, is when you're throwing a rooster tail and you get into a good bite and then you have a huge kink come out of your reel. So I'm also going to link some videos down below. This is probably going to be a shorter video. I'm going to link some down below of some of the things that helped me learn so much about this BFS style fishing, and hopefully give some credit to the guys who, in my opinion, do a way better job than me of explaining this. But I just wanted to give you an idea of what my setup is like. And now we're going to shift over and show you some footage of a recent trip to the lake where do some casting and kind of show you a good shot of also what the spool looks like. Out here on the water again with the Kast King Zephyr on the Dobyns Sierra series, and I'm throwing, I wouldn't call this a micro crankbait, but I would typically have to throw something like this on a spinning rod. Some of you guys may be watching this saying that you throw crankbaits half this size on rods twice as big as this one. I don't know, but for me, I feel like it's a pretty good test is how it will cast. This is a Fritz Side 5 Junior, and I'm gonna aim for like that rock over there. Now that's not very far. Whoa, Sawyer almost like beat me to it. You see, I mean, it casts pretty good, but you notice here, like I was saying, these don't hold very much line, but the idea is that that's less weight for that lure to have to make this thing spin. When I take my thumb off there, see how easy it spins, and I actually have it set pretty tight. But it is a smooth reel, and I will say this about any fishing reel you buy, the $200, $300 Shimano's I've got down here on the deck below me, or the $75 Kast King, they're all really smooth when you get them out of the box. The difference between an expensive reel and a cheaper reel to me is, you know, a few months down the road, how are they doing? And part of that also is maintenance. I admittedly am not very good about, I must have banged it off a rock. That's good though, we want to bang off rocks. But if you guys are interested in learning more about maintaining reels, there's a guy called, I think it's Discovering Fishing. I'll find his video and link it below. But anyways, this reel I'm pretty impressed with. Hopefully I'll catch a fish on it later, and we can get some video of how that works. But if you do want to see a lot of fish catches on it, this is my third time I think I've used it. I took it down to, if you watch my kayak video, what? Oh, I missed him. I had a bite. How does an animal bite something with 6 hooks on it?
I just got a little nibble.
You did?
Yeah.
Man, that'd be awesome if you caught a fish right here, Sawyer. But if you watch my kayak video where I go kayak up Stock Creek, you can see me catch a lot of fish on this thing and how much fun it is. The rod being so flexible definitely makes even a mid-sized bass feel like an absolute monster. And also just a sensitivity, you know, I can watch that tip move, and like I felt that fish hit that crankbait, and it's a really small crankbait. And what I've seen sometimes is on my bigger crankbait rods, smaller crankbaits, is the fish can come up behind it and grab it, and I can't really feel the difference because the rod just doesn't give like this one does. So anyways, thank you guys for watching and checking out this reel. I bought this off Amazon. I don't have any kind of affiliate links or anything. Let's face it, I'm not big time like that. I do think that these Kast King reels being kind of cheaper and like Amazon top specials, I don't think that leaves a whole lot of room for markup by local shops. So this may be one you do have to pick up online. I always try to plug the local guys, but like I said, I don't think they carry these just because there's not much space to mark them up. So anyways, thanks again for watching. Make sure that you consider liking and subscribing. I don't want to push you into it, but I certainly would appreciate it. Thanks.